go right down to the bottom.
That's what I thought.
All on its own.
And move your feet.
Subscribe! Walking with Jesus, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking with Jesus, walking with Jesus alone. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking with Jesus alone. Walking with Jesus, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking with Jesus, walking with Jesus alone. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking with Jesus alone. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking with Jesus alone. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking every day, walking all the way. Walking in the sunlight, walking in the shadow, walking with Jesus alone. Walking with Jesus alone.
You will guess the age of
Evelyn.
We get the age of Sister Evelyn, but whatever she told me the age, I have already her age with me.
Oh,
So
very
whoever
good.
right, you will get a very surprise gift.
That's
All right.
a surprise. You didn't
Okay.
tell us to bring our glasses. Oh.
Okay, so
Oh.
Sister Sandy, are you ready? And then you
I don't
can
think you're
show other
supposed to
people
say.
just a little bit.
Maybe walk around the room, Sam?
Yeah,
Yeah. So Billy, can you see that? I'm gonna,
that's
I have to guess
the
first.
way she told me that.
I know, what can you do? It's her life.
Okay, anyway, in my paper, I got 18. You are answering wrong.
You are a fabulous looking 80 years old.
You are not getting any surprise
I'm not
gift.
getting any surprise. That's all right. You're a fabulous looking 80-year-old.
Which beach?
I say she's 11 months
I'm
old.
not sure.
11 months old. Very close, but she told me that 1 year old.
Okay.
Very good.
Jackie should have a gift.
Close gift.
Very close.
Okay. And then
There we go.
Now, Evelyn,
Now this I gotta get a picture of.
Evelyn, don't breathe.
Now, I got help from Sandy and Jermaine and Gertie and Jackie to get some of the facts. I may have some of the dates not quite exact, but shout out if you know the correct date, and that includes you, Evelyn. So, this is Evelyn's life. September 25th, 1924, Evelyn is born to Edna Doucette and Harold Green in Winnipeg, Manitoba. She would later be joined by Beatrice, Stanley, Phyllis, and Edna. Phyllis Marie was later to become Sister Marie Charles. Evelyn's mom was French-Canadian and was born in the US. Her family moved to Saskatchewan to farm. Her father Harold was originally from England, where his family had been gardeners. They decided not to stay in Canada, but Harold did. He became a Mountie for a while, but due to his injured feet from the war, could not do a great deal of work if it required a lot of walking and standing. Her parents met late in life, and what started out as a lovely friendship soon blossomed into marriage. They moved from Saskatchewan to Winnipeg, where Harold worked at Eaton's department store. When Evelyn was born, the dollar was worth $18 today. Gasoline was 13 cents, and life expectancy
And that was a gallon.
that was a gallon.
Not a
Not
liter.
exactly. And life expectancy was 54 years of age.
Wow.
The war had been over for 5 years, but the world was still reeling from it. It Had to Be You and It Ain't Gonna Rain No More were on the airwaves. Evelyn would have heard those at home or sung them while attending a local school. As the eldest, she was determined to be a big help to her mom. September 26th, 1934. Evelyn is 10. She's growing up in Winnipeg, attending school at St. Edward's and St. Mary's Academy. By the 30s, life expectancy had increased to 62 years. The dollar was now worth $18.55. The Dion quintuplets were born. Bonnie and Clyde were caught. The Bank of Canada is established, and the Canadian Wheat Board opens its doors. It's a presence that would prove important years later in Evelyn's professional life, when she began working at the Grain Exchange in Winnipeg. September 26, 1944. When it arrives, Evelyn turns 20.
Gosh, you're aging quickly. Still not legal age.
The world has been at war for 5 years. In June 6th of that year, D-Day unfolds and results in a major shift in the war. It also marks the first large-scale production of penicillin. A dollar is now worth $14. Don't Fence Me In and Swinging on a Star are playing on the radio. And Hollywood has produced the timeless and classical films Citizen Kane, Casablanca, and It's a Wonderful Life, which is still being shown at Christmas. By this time, Evelyn is working at the Grain Exchange, where she will be busy in the summer months recording all the transactions. Come winter, though, the employees were pretty much left with not a lot to do, I gather. So the women took up knitting. We will have to ask Evelyn what she knitted. Do you remember what you knitted?
what's that?
Do you remember what you knitted when you were at the Grain Exchange?
Well, I got the wool from the Grain Exchange there, so they were selling wool in cones, you know,
Yeah.
a bathing suit.
Make sure she can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I think she's.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can hear you okay,
Okay.
but I have a louder voice.
With her accumulating wealth as a working woman, she bought her first piano. That must have been a joyous day for the musically gifted Evelyn. Evelyn had actually wanted to enter the convent before getting her first job, but her father felt she was too young. So it wasn't until 1947, at the age of 22, that Evelyn entered at the Sacred Heart College in Regina. In 1948, she became a novice and declared her profession in 1950. It was also in this year that she headed off to Fort Francis to teach grade 3 and 4 and music, one of her great passions. September 26, 1954. Evelyn is 30.
Wow. And Sandy was born. Looking haggard.
And I'm 8 years of age. Evelyn is 30 and still in Fort Francis. The 50s see a housing boom and a continued baby boom. It also heralded mass vaccinations across Canada against polio. Roger Bannister breaks the running record by running the mile in under 4 minutes. Meat rations are ended in Britain. Metropolitan Toronto comes into being, and so does the subway line. CBC opens its first station in Winnipeg, and the St. Lawrence Seaway begins construction. $1 is now worth $10.55. Songs on the radio include Mr. Sandman, Shaboom Shaboom, and Earth Angel. The sounds of a new age of music is also at hand. The big band and swing era give way to a new sound. Anybody remember what that was? Elvis is about to hit the stage and gyrate a craze with That's All Right, Babe. Evelyn has been teaching for 3 years now and will stay in Fort Francis at St. Mary's till 1957. She's also racking up the points at the local 5-pin bowling alley, where she is a league member and will remain as such for 15 years. Evelyn makes her perpetual vows in Regina and teaches music at the convent and also grade 5 at St. Joseph's in Saskatoon. In 58-59, Evelyn moves on to St. Augustine and music at St. Michael's Academy in Brandon. In 59, she'll return to Fort Francis, where she will continue teaching and no doubt bowling. In 62, she attends Teacher College in Brandon, after which she moves to Winnipeg and to St. Edward's, where she teaches grade 5. September 26, 1964, Evelyn is now 40 and has moved once again back to dear old Fort Francis, where she will remain until 1982, teaching grade 5 and giving piano lessons, as well as perfecting her strikes at the alley. Sadly, this is also the year that Evelyn will lose 2 of the people most dear to her, her mother Edna, and 6 months later, her father Harold.
Wow.
The shock and loss of both so close to each other is a heavy burden for Evelyn, and the one that will take a long time to heal. In other events that year, Martin Luther King wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Lyndon Johnson signs the Civil Rights Act, and the Beatles appear on Ed Sullivan. Milk costs $1, and gas is now 30 cents a gallon. The music on the radio is rocking with I Want to Hold Your Hand, Pretty Woman, and Dancing in the Street. Clint Eastwood is making and starring in westerns, and Zorba the Greek is filling theater seats. The longevity rate is now averaging 73 years for women and 66 for men. September 26, 1974, and Evelyn has lived half a century.
You're only 50, you got 50 more to go.
And look at how much history has happened in the world. 2 decades of which have been as an elementary and piano teacher in Fort Francis. During the 70s, Evelyn would teach during the school year and then attend summer school in Winnipeg, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Manitoba in 1975.
Hooray, hooray.
In 1982,
Finally.
at the age of 58, Evelyn retires from teaching after 31 years. But that wouldn't be the end of it. The 70s are also a tumultuous time, and the post-Vatican I religious life is in flux. Vatican II religious life is in flux. Pierre Trudeau enters a third term, the Vietnam War is in full swing, and Nixon resigns over Watergate. The environmental movement begins with the birth of Greenpeace in British Columbia. Disco is the new rage. Microsoft is born, and the first email is sent. Star Wars and Jaws hit the screen. Life expectancy is now 68 for men and 75 for women. September 26, 1984.
So fast.
Evelyn is now 60 and teaching music in the convent in Fort Francis, a role she will continue until 1989, when she'll move back to St. Michael's Academy in Brandon to continue with her piano teaching. A little bird told me that it was during this time that Evelyn displayed a talent for winning. At one point, she supposedly won $800, and at another, a car. Now, I don't have the details, but I imagine someone, if not Evelyn, can tell us.
I drove the car for many a year.
So it's true.
Yes,
Wow.
Did you drive it?
I did.
What kind of a car was it?
It was at St. Edward's. It was a smaller car, I can't remember
Okay.
what make,
I can't remember, I mean, I
but
still
it
had,
was spanking new when she won it.
Wow.
I still had a picture, but see, we had just bought a new car in Fort Francis,
Yeah.
and it was too small for us.
That's right.
Oh, well.
Like we were 5.
But it fit in the garage of St. Edward's beautifully.
I know. Well, but I mean, that
But
was,
everybody got into it, would say, Evelyn won this car.
Yeah.
So you had lots of,
well, what happened was, I was driving to Winnipeg with a car full of nuns,
yeah,
and they phoned for, they owned, the head of that drugstore was there. You see, it was all the drugstores in Manitoba and Ontario. And they had this, you did just slips of paper, you signed it, and they took it there to the baseball field there, you know, and they drew it there. And my name come up.
there you
Wow.
go.
So the president of the head of that drugstore was there, and so he said, "Oh, I know who that is." So he phoned the convent, and they said, "Oh, she's just on her way to Winnipeg." So the sisters phoned Winnipeg, and when they were waiting around there, they knew I was out of my way. So when they came to we drove up to their door, they said, "Oh, you want a car?" And this whole gang of nuns there.
So it was a true story after all. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Wow.
true.
So the next day, then they took my picture sitting in the car.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the name will come back to me,
Okay.
of me.
So it's the late 80s, and in that time, Evelyn will attend Trinity College in London, England, and earn an Associate of Music degree. Her advanced music studies will continue into the 90s. The 80s also included a trip to Italy to study for a month, which made a big impression on Evelyn. The biggest thrill, however, was connecting with her father's side of the family in England. Evelyn is the only member of her family to meet these relatives, and that connection has been going on till this day. The 80s also saw the first visit of a pope to Canada. It also resonated with the sounds of cash registers as the rise of consumerism and a new kind of decadence takes hold. The Mantra from Hollywood is a movie about Wall Street, and the phrase, "greed is good." Reaganomics is king, AIDS is ravaging young gay men, and the Berlin Wall is about to crumble. Tina Turner is belting out "What's Love Got to Do with It," while Prince and Bruce the Boss Springsteen fill a good portion of the airwaves. Television is king. Shows like The Simpsons, Dynasty, The Golden Girls, and Murphy Brown open up conversations about politics, women's rights, and ageism. September 26th, 1994.
Oh dear. Getting dangerous.
Evelyn is a spry 70 and has moved from St. Michael's in Brandon to 826 Pepperloaf Crescent in Winnipeg, where she will share an apartment with Janine Filion. During the 90s, Evelyn would study advanced music, graduating with a BA from the University of Manitoba. The 90s will see the Liberals lose power and Brian Mulroney take center stage. Apple will introduce its new computer, and Facebook will introduce the world to a new and transformative future. Music has changed with bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Smashing Pumpkins, and Pearl Jam. Heavy metal and grunge are big. Don't ask me what they sound like, because I don't know. And I doubt Evelyn does either. Lifespan has now increased to 80 years, and the dollar is worth $1.67.
Wow.
During this time, Evelyn has moved back to St. Edward's Convent, where she teaches music and theory to students and takes on the role of an accompanist to the St. Edward's Choir. When St. Edward's closes, Evelyn moves to an apartment on Cambridge Avenue near Grant Park. She has her beloved piano, so she can continue to play for herself and guests. September 26th, 2004.
The
24.
older you get, the faster the years go.
Evelyn's now 80.
Wow.
She busies herself with crocheting and knitting and watching her favorite sports programs. She's also able to get out and visit Grant Park Mall on occasion, a pastime that her friends and relatives have benefited from time and time again, as Evelyn is a generous gift giver. Another pastime is writing cards and letters to family and friends. Evelyn writes the most informative cards and takes time to remember birthdays and seasonal celebrations. She has written to every member of the RNDM province and beyond.
Yes.
This new millennia does not bring about the cataclysmic end of the world that some had foretold. Computers do not run amok with all the zeros, but 2001, specifically September 11th, does change the world and world politics. And that tragedy continues to influence world affairs to this day. Sadly for Evelyn, this new age will bring about the loss of her only brother Stanley, who dies in 2003, Sister Phyllis, Sister Mary Charles in 2006, and Sister Beatrice in 2012. In this Evelyn's 80th year, Facebook makes its appearance, as does the transit of Venus, for the first time since 1882. The US re-elects George W. Bush, and the Liberals are back in with a minority government. I could list the songs on the radio, but I'm afraid none of us will ever have heard of them or sung them unless you know the names Maroon 5 and Usher. Films you may know are Spider-Man and Shrek 2. The average life expectancy is 77 for men and 80 for women, and the dollar is worth $1.67. September 26, 2014.
Guess what, Evelyn?
Evelyn has reached the remarkable age of 90 and doesn't look a day over 80. It is around this time that Evelyn suffers a fall that results in a broken shoulder. This leaves her in a great deal of pain and restricted her mobility. It also required trips to the physiotherapist, which helped to speed up what to Evelyn seemed a very slow recovery. It was during her 90s that Evelyn moved to Olino, the former convent of the missionary Oblates, where she joined some of the RNDM sisters. Here, with her proven facility for hospitality and joie de vivre, she would find a welcome home. Evelyn makes new friends and has regular gatherings in the dining room with her RNDM sisters and outings with Germaine and other residents. Her health, for the most part, is excellent, aside from a few trips to the doctor to ensure it remains so. I mention this fact because it's about this time that I took over as elder care coordinator for the RNDMs and accompanied Eleanor on her few trips to the eye doctors and the physiotherapists. It was then that I learned what a great conversationalist she is and how fiercely independent as well. I also learned of her generosity and kindness when I received thank you cards and Christmas gifts. The world by now is beginning to catch up to Evelyn, as men can be expected to live till 79 and women to 84. The dollar is now worth $1.33. Music, however, still seems even more foreign, and in 2014, to be honest, there is no point in even listing any of the songs, because none of them are familiar except Don't Worry, Be Happy. Movies are almost as foreign, though I did hear of 12 Years a Slave and Frozen. And this brings us to today, September 26th, 2024, and the remarkable 100-year celebration of Evelyn Green's birth. A woman who has seen and lived through a remarkable century of change and evolution. A woman of kindness and generosity, besides longevity. A woman who is known for welcoming strangers whenever she meets them and opening her door with a wide and sparkling smile. It has been my pleasure to travel on just a small part of this epic journey with her. Happy birthday,
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you.